Imhotep family. You're tuning into the Pro-Black Perspective on KWAZ Radio. This is the weekly Warship, so I'm glad that you've joined me. It is 11 a.m., well, 11:01 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Um, this is what we do every Sunday. Uh, Normally, I try to do week one being one of the four Pan-African Wisdom Series, week two, week three, week four, same as that. Uh, but today, because it's week 5 of November, as it's November 29th, 2020, I'm going to do the art of speechcraft. And I think this is a good guide. It's something that I want you to understand too, that because the Pan-African Wisdom Series, there's 4 of them, you can study them Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then for Friday, you can study the art of speechcraft. Now, of course, the art of speechcraft is available in the Book of Power, but if you don't have the Book of Power, you can download it on my Discord. You can download the preview. That, as you can see in the bottom, is 183 pages, so it's a decent preview. And of course, it includes right here the art of speechcraft. Without further ado, I would like to read to you this essay and maybe articulate it a little more, but it's pretty well articulated already. But let's see, of all disciplines that you can excel in, this one may be the easiest and most rewarding. Good speech, also known as charm, impacts the gamut of your relations, and as a social being who engages in relationships to give and receive, you can receive more and more if you engage in good speech. This has been our circumstance from the beginning, right? In the ancient world, good speech, medunefer, was not solely a reference to good words, but also good deeds and being a good African. To be an African of good words, good works, good war, and good power was among the highest qualities. Ancestors willing, we will have more of our works translated by our own and into our own language. But from now, what we know good speech has benefited Africans throughout the ages. Alright? Hannibal, a great general who nearly defeated a white empire, had also been a great orator. Dessalines, a great general who defeated 3 superpowers, proved to also be a great orator. And Garvey, one of the best organizers since the Ma'afa, was widely hailed as the best orator of his age. It's no coincidence. We developed language for the purpose of communicating and understanding between ourselves. To effectively communicate and understanding that can bring people to act on behalf of our people is the instrument for our empowerment. Unfortunately, good speech is no longer a pursuit of those who would empower us. Worse, the skilled orators are often empowering our enemies. What is it that we can do? Firstly, what we need to do. Firstly, you will need a program that can empower us. This book gives that. Secondly, you will need to know how to charm. The earlier book, the Pro-Black Compendium, has that. Lastly, you will need to learn how to orate, and you will learn this in a moment. Alright, so there are 5 main rules to orations. One is to match your voice with the content of your speech. You will have your normal tone and pitch, but at times you must get loud to communicate that you are passionate, and at other times you must speak fast to communicate that you are pacing, maybe to signify an importance in a small detail. At other times, you must speak carefully and communicate that you are measured. In those instances, you want people to listen carefully. Vary these throughout your speech, and your listener will draw upon the larger message all the more clearly. This mastery is foremost. It is a lost art on many otherwise great minds in our community. The next 2 rules are to match your eyes and hands. This I shouldn't write on, but your eyes and hands must also reflect your speech. Look firmly in the eyes of your audience. Raise your hand in a curse or slam your fist in passion. Keep your arms calm if you are calm. Your eyes and your hands communicate a good amount of your message. Don't shift your eyes too much if it's uncalled for, and don't leave your hands in your pockets unless it's necessary, or you're trying to hide something. On a grand stage, this is very apparent, but in personal conversation, it's just the same. Connect your eyes with your audience when communicating a message, or look around when it's time to look elsewhere. Master your hands and eyes and you will enchant your audience. The next rule is to know when to pause and how to emphasize. Emphasis carries a new meaning for any sentence. The phrase, "I will work to unite Africa," spoken plainly communicates a great sentiment. But if repeated with a different emphasis each time, it takes on a different meaning. I will work to unite Africa. Suggest someone else won't. I will work to unite Africa communicates confidence. I will work to unite Africa hints at work as a necessary medium. I will work to unite Africa purposes the work. I will work to unite Africa stresses the intent to unity. And I will work to unite Africa makes the case for a strictly African unity. Emphasis is important in speech. Pausing as well. Generally, pausing for a second after a comma, 2 seconds after a semicolon or dash, 3 seconds after a colon, and 4 seconds after a period is a decent framework. The real pauses to consider are those that bring emphasis. I will work to unite Africa. Master this pause and mastering emphasis will definitely benefit you in the realm of speaking. But this last rule is a very critical rule for you to understand. Have something worthwhile to say. Whether it was Hannibal, Dessalines, or Garvey, or even Yasantoa, Bookman, or whomever, speaking needed to be useful, to be valued. How to always have a meaningful communication will depend upon how you prepare beforehand. There are a number of templates you can use. I've used many throughout my career. My latest has been title, context, question, answer, instruction. Before that it was reality, ignorance, error, hate, knowledge, wisdom, love. That may mean nothing to you and it shouldn't, but it means something to me and it allows me to speak or write on any subject in an organized manner. You should design your own. This will allow you to organize your communications into something of meaning. My latest template, for instance, tells me to always include in my correspondences an instruction and an answer to a question. I start off with a title, recognizing that titles are as important as any other element in a communication. A title informs a reader whether to engage or disengage. A title is like a person's appearance. This template reminds me to make my titles engaging, so I must consider what is engaging. Next is context. What is the context of the discussion I'm having? Why is it something to discuss? In this communication, the context was the importance of speech. That's where I discussed the ancient world. The next is question, which draws upon what the listener will have answered. I set up the question to answer it. Here it was how to orate, where I spoke about how we no longer pursue good speech. The question is answer. The next is answer, which answers the question. In this essay is where I describe the rules of oration. Last is instruction, which tells the listener what they can do now. This section was simply called formatting, and is the section I'm writing in now. The template isn't perfect. It simply leads me from one point to another in a structured way, and it lets me know that I'm giving instructions in each communication that follows it. Later in the book, I'll use the template to speak as 3 of the great Africans of all time, Akampong, Kandakenani, Nzinga, and Taharka. The main point is to have something meaningful and controlled. The 5-part template is adopted for the book as a whole. How you format that is up to you, but take this advice. Practice on these great ideas following, and you may move the race as our greats have done before. For there are only so many who can make good words, good works, good war, and good wasps. You are among this class, Undugu. You are a rarity on Kobia. Put your medu nefer toward our nation. We will be powerful once again. Ni ta yetu. Alright, asante sana. Asante sana.